Hey there, my name is Gavin, and in this video we're going to be talking about the conversation of what is the greatest video game soundtrack of all time. You know, there's some common games that come up a lot, like Xenoblade Chronicles, Bloodborne, Doom, Breath of the Wild, Donkey Kong Country. Each person has one that really stands out for them, and that just kind of depends on what kind of game had the biggest impact on you when you were playing it for the first time. And I think for me, the one that's really stood out and stood the test of time is Super Mario Galaxy for the Nintendo Wii. Now, this soundtrack is incredible in so many different ways, from it being performed by a live orchestra to having just so many variations of songs in one OST, each one dedicated to its own area inside of the game in a very unique and special way. The soundtrack really just touched me, and it's something that I really thought was impactful with my playing experience in the game, There's a lot of games where it's like, oh yeah, the one thing that really stands out is like the combat mechanics or like, gameplay in general. It's just super fun. But the soundtrack of this game was always super impactful. It really immersed you in the world. And the one map that really stood out for me was Space Junk Galaxy. Now, if you haven't heard this song before, I strongly recommend just taking a few minutes to listen to it, in isolation. In this video, I'm going to be breaking it down into sections and talking over it, and I don't think that's going to give you the best listening to experience for the very first time listening to it. But if you haven't heard it already, just take a few minutes, listen to it. It's like a 2-minute, 14-second song, and you'll really get context of what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And in addition to this, you should listen to the 8-Bit Big Band's cover of this song. I think it adds a whole new element of, style and, pizzazz, I guess, to the piece. And it's just a phenomenal cover in general. I recommend checking it out in their entire channel. It's where I get a lot of my inspiration for my piano playing, and especially just understanding jazz in general is from that channel. So yeah, let's get into the video and why I think Space Junk Galaxy is one of the greatest songs ever made for the Nintendo Wii. So as I always say, I think the best place to start is the beginning. Okay, let's just sit right there and talk about that arpeggio. So what's going on there? Well, we have this A-flat major kind of thing going on here. It's an A-flat major 7 chord, and it has a sharp 11. And, when we have this sharp 11, it changes the quality of the scale that we are playing. In this case, it switches it to a Lydian mode. Now, if you haven't learned about modes yet, that's a-okay. All you need to know is that different modes have different qualities within a scale, and different notes are either sharp or flat with different modes. So in this case, there's a Lydian mode, which means the 4 is going to be sharped. That's where you hear that little bit of dissonance. Let's play this one more time. The 5th note or the 6th note is just a little bit dissonant compared to the rest of it, and that's because we have this sharp 4 instead of just the natural 4 that's normally being played. And this makes a massive difference in the quality of the arpeggio, It's something that you wouldn't think would be that impactful, but it does so much. It's this increasingly just... It's amazing. It's amazing. I will probably make a video in the future just about tritones in general, but creating that interval right there just adds the perfect level of dissonance. And, this galaxy that is made in the game, it's all about, there's little pieces of junk flying around everywhere, yet it's still a very grand area. It's still an amazing, part of the world that it's representing, and this chord captures that feeling immaculately. And, when you're writing your own songs and trying to take into account, what I'm trying to make in my music, this is something you should think about. Things like this where they are describing an entire world based off of just a couple of, scale and chord choices with different forms of tension and dissonance. It really makes the difference between having a okay song and having a phenomenal song. So yeah, let's keep listening. Okay, wow, so that chord change right there is a A-flat 7 over a G-flat, and what this means is they're playing a A-flat 7 chord, which is in an A-flat C, E-flat, and then I believe a G-flat over the G-flat in your left hand. Now, what all of this basically means is they're playing a very dominant and powerful chord, right? It's a very big shift from this kind of flowy, grand chord that we had at the opening, this opening just scale that we got going on here. Instead, they're turning it into a slash chord with a little bit more dissonance in the left hand. You know, we're not playing this standard, you know, major 7 note. Instead, we're playing a flat 7 inside this scale. And as you can hear, it makes a massive difference in the quality of the sound. Let's listen to this one more time. Oh man, it's pretty. And you know, the little pieces of flair going on throughout of just like the little like wow, you know, the little synth noises to give you that kind of space vibe, it makes so much of a difference. You know, imagine if this song didn't have those little bits to it. I think it would not be as impactful of a track. And, you know, this alone and those little choices that you make such a difference when you're listening to a piece of music like this, you know? Take into account, you know, when you're making your own tracks, those little small details that make such a world of difference, you know? So let's continue listening to this. So as we're hearing, the song then jumps an octave. So now you have the same melody that was being played before, but this time it's going to be an octave higher. And I think this choice, you know, not only reaffirms the melody that we are playing, you know, this idea of repetition legitimizing the melody, but as well it creates a new feeling inside of us, and, you know, it makes the song not boring, and that's something that's really important. You know, I think a lot of the time, you know, when we're writing music, we get stuck in these kind of logic loops of like, okay, what do I do next, you know? And sometimes just doubling up your melody like this in a very intentional way, keeping it very simple, very open, can be the correct choice, you know? And I think that's another reason why this song stands out so much to me, you know? It's so simple. It is so simple, you know? There's so many other songs on this soundtrack that have such a big impact on me. There's like Gustin Garden Galaxy and, you know, Rosalina's Observatory and Good Day Galaxy and all that good stuff. And those songs are very intricate and complex, but that doesn't really mean that they are the best songs that are written. They don't have to be super big and grand to convey a really big scale, and this song is a phenomenal example of that. There's some beauty in the simplicity of this track. You know, it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Instead, it can be very simple and very, you know, just understanding, you know? It's a track that, you know, invites you to sit there and listen and watch, you know, especially in context with the game. You know, again, we're looking at this picture of the galaxy that we got going on right here, and, you know, let's listen to the soundtrack alongside it, and let's just look at the picture while listening to the soundtrack. Oh my gosh, it is so free. It is so free. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. You know, we're shifting down now to this E major 7 chord that goes to an F sharp major that goes to this A flat major 7. And all three of these chords in succession give us a sense of progression going upwards. The song is moving, and that's something that's really big, you know. I feel like a lot of songs, you know, we get stuck in this common song structure of where, you know, we have this like hook and then melody line and then, you know, bridge, chorus, right? But instead, this song's really taking its time, you know? We're a minute in and it's just slowly starting to ramp up towards what could be considered a chorus, a climax of this piece, you know? We have these rising chords going from an E major 7 to an F sharp to an A flat major 7. You know, this progression is typical and very common in movie soundtracks when we're trying to indicate, you know, some big progression of sound that wants to go somewhere. And again, it's another small detail that I feel like when we're playing the game we often overlook, but it means so much. It's so large and grand and just incredible. Let's continue listening. This is so pretty, and I'm just so excited to keep listening. So these chords that we got going on right here are a major 7 and a B major 7, and it's so, you know, spaced out, and I spaced out because Super Mario Galaxy, I'm so funny. No, but it's so delicate, you know, this entire melody line is so delicate, you know. We're listening to it, right, and we hear this level of, you know, just like, dun, 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 dun. You know, there's so much texture to the piece. And it's these, again, little small notes, and especially if you're listening with headphones, you know, hearing it pan out in your, or like your hearing, it's doing so much. It's doing so much and so little, you know? Again, as we're hearing, this isn't a very large scale track like some of the other tracks in Super Mario Galaxy. It's a lot more reserved and calm. And I think it's inviting the player, you know, when you're playing this level, to continue feeling just open and good about the area that you are in, you know? It's not rushing you forward like a lot of other game soundtracks commonly do. And also, it's not just dry ambience, you know? A lot of video games nowadays have this trend of just having music that's just like, you know, some like strings that are just like, wah, and it's like, yeah, there's like sound, but there's no intentionality to it. And as we're hearing in this section, you know, you're going from this A major 7 to this B major 7, and you just have these little plucks of texture throughout it. You know, you're having this sense of, you know, movingness in your audio track, but it's not driving you anywhere, and it's not forcing you to do anything. It's very calm and reserved, and I think, again, it's another one of those details that, you know, if you're not directly listening to it, you'll miss it. And, you know, it's another piece of the song that I just absolutely love. So let's continue listening. This is so pretty. Where were we? What the crap? Okay, wait, let's listen to that one more time. I just gotta re-listen. That was insane. Okay, that piano arpeggio, just like, oh my gosh, just like, blung, 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 blung. Oh man, going back down, I believe that is a C sharp major 7 that is just being spread across the entire piano. You know, the level of instrumentation and texture being used is ridiculous. Like, this is insane. That is insane. Man, what I really want to talk about this section, and, you know, kind of to conclude this entire just long yapping session of me talking about this song, is really just how intricate and delicate that ending going back into our main chorus was, you know? Again, there was no real giant climax, you know? Of course, it's a video game soundtrack, so, you know, it's going to be something that continues to repeat a lot, and that is, you know, kind of the intentional function of this song, is to be repeating and to be able to continuously be on a loop. But that doesn't discredit the fact that this song never really ramps up to a point where you feel like, oh, this is the end of the song and now I can switch to a different song. No, it carries us gently all the way back down to the beginning, you know? It's so delicate with the way it does it, with our descending arpeggios on piano, and especially it doesn't shy away from, you know, utilizing everything that the piano has to offer, you know? The piano is a massive instrument, and more often than not, especially when newer composers are playing on the piano, they're afraid to use the very high and lower registers, but as we're hearing here, there's no issue with descending down the entire upper registers and octave of the piano back down to the starting melody. And it makes such a world of difference, because if we continue to listen to this piece, right, if we continue to go on, it goes back to the beginning here, and it gives us a great foundation to start over again, and that means so much. And it's why I think this song is a masterclass in both, you know, songwriting and intentionality, and playing a song and writing a song with context clues that lead us somewhere else, you know? It makes such a big difference. So, yeah, that's all I really want to talk about, you know? It's pretty late at night, I just wanted to, you know, make something. I don't know, man. The song was just in my head all day, and I really wanted to talk about it because I think it's incredible, and I think it's a shame that more people haven't heard this song, you know? I believe every single person before, you know, they eventually pass away should have the chance to listen to this song because it is incredible. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I have a lot of other cool videos on this channel if you want to check them out. Again, sorry that this was just a yapping session of me talking about this song I love, but oh man, it's beautiful. And yeah, again, check out the 8-Bit Big Van's cover of the song. It's gorgeous, it's monumental, it's amazing. And yeah, thank you so much. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day.